What's up, guys? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And we are here we're taking a page out of the Fast Break book. And this isn't exactly what they do in the overtime. This is just bonus onside kick content for you guys. We got our mock draft circulating. I think this is going to come out because of scheduling the day the second one comes out, but we're still talking about this. Needed to get this even though it's not a part of the main podcast. You get why. But what we're doing, Mark, Carson Wentz injured. I'm sorry your fantasy quarterback went down.
Yep. I currently do not have a quarterback on my roster.
Not at all.
Well, Andrew Luck's on the IR.
That's right. You have a waiver pick. I'm not going to say it, so Brandon and everyone, Brandon and Lions guy can't hear you. I'm not gonna give that away. I'll let that come through tomorrow. But we're looking at Wentz's injury, but more importantly, how does this affect the NFC playoffs? And I just want to ask you, how does this affect the NFC playoffs?
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think it changes that much. And here's why. I mean, Philadelphia's in, Minnesota's in, the Rams are in, although I think the Rams are an interesting one. I think
they could be a wild card.
Well, I think they could have a bit of a they could be a wild card because I think they have a bit of a slump potentially ahead of them. Saints most likely are in. Panthers, I hope, are in. The Falcons are the only ones I think that might get bounced out, and that's by the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll see what happens there. So really, the teams I don't think change that much. Minnesota's only one game behind the Eagles, so that's the one that's going to be interesting. So really, the big question here is they're going to beat the Bengals. All right, well, let's see what we got for the Eagles. I think the Eagles will probably beat the Giants. Maybe not. You might prefer them against the Raiders. That's okay. I think one of those two games are theirs. So we go over to Minnesota and we say, okay, the Bears game, they can probably beat the Bears as well. This is where it gets interesting because, like I said, I feel confident Raiders or Giants for the Eagles, but the Cowboys might make a tough one. One of these teams might surprise the Eagles with Nick Foles, and the big one for Minnesota, it's gonna be that game at Lambeau. That's a big one. I feel like Minnesota kind of has to win that one if they're going to go out there and take this from the Philadelphia Eagles. That's where it's going to get difficult to see if they can take the number one seed.
This is the most interesting thing. And you know what else plays into this as well? Aaron Rodgers announcing he's been cleared to play.
Yeah.
Because I'll be completely honest, I don't see the Packers, like I said, going through and winning 3 games. And I think that for the Packers, it is hard for them to... It's impossible for them to say, we're going to start Aaron Rodgers, and then if they lose to the Panthers, say, all right, he's shut down the rest of the season. It's impossible to do that. You're either playing him,
he plays.
You're playing him, or you're not playing him. And how I look at it right now, maybe this is confidence in my eyes. I mean, the best I can see the Eagles going is 2-1, but that's like running the table in my mind. I have them losing the divisional games. I think the Giants will upset them this week. I think Zeke comes back and Dallas upends them without Carson Wentz. I think they can beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football, no problem. The thing with the Vikings is I got us running the table. And it's not like a tough run the table. It's the Bengals are easy. The Bears are easy. I just don't think the Packers, it's going to be one of those we're not making the playoffs kind of thing. And I think that the Vikings, the defense plays better, and we win that game. Then you've got the thing for the Eagles, though. Let's say you do lose 2 games. Then you're sitting there at 4 losses. Yeah, you've already lost the division you've lost the home field advantage to the Vikings because the Vikings had first place when they were tied with the Eagles. Then you have the possibility of losing it to the Rams, who the Rams, I think, can go 2-1. Titans and 49ers, I think they can beat. That 49er one, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo plays out, but I don't think they beat Seattle. So it's like, okay, you'll be safe there. Well, can the Saints run the table? I think they can. I think they beat the Bucs. I think they beat the Jets. The Falcons, I know, beat them in Atlanta, but I think that, like you and me have said, those two were going to split since the beginning of the year. So I think that, okay, the Saints could run the table. You could possibly be then the third team, depending on how tiebreakers go. And then the same thing for the Panthers. I could see the Panthers beating the Packers, beating the Bucks, beating Atlanta. So depending on how the tiebreakers go, you could be tied with the Saints and the Panthers. And if you lose those tiebreakers, you're not number one. You're not sitting there at number 2, but you're sitting there at number 4. And now you're the 4th seed, and you have to go through 3 other roads just to get to the Super Bowl.
I really don't. I honestly don't see that much changing here. I don't. The Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, Nick Foles is a good quarterback. He is not a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. I mean, some would say he's as good as Peyton Manning.
Because he threw 7 in a game.
7 in a game. He did it before Peyton did. But here's the thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. They still have a amazing run game. They still have some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They have a defense that's doing a phenomenal job this year. They score more points than anybody. They give up less points than most. They give up 19 points a game. That doesn't change just because Carson Wentz is suddenly hurt. So a team like the Giants, who can't score if their lives depend on it, they're really going to put up enough points to compete. And I know that it's Nick Foles. It's not Carson Wentz, but Nick Foles is still a good enough quarterback. The Raiders, sure, they've got an offense. And the thing about the Cowboys that I see is really that, yeah, sure, Zeke is going to be back, but the Cowboys are out of the playoffs. I mean, let's be real. The Cowboys are not going to get into the playoffs. They will probably lose this week, and then they're 9-7 at best. 9-7 is most likely not getting you into the playoffs this year.
You know what this injury does that is, to me, taking wins and losses and seedings out of the way. You know what this injury does, and it's bad that it does this, but it's going to do it, which will be great for us, is now that Carson Wentz is not there for the Eagles, I think the NFC playoffs top to bottom are going to be the most interesting side of the playoffs. Every single game is going to be amazing because you could tell me at this point now, I would go on record saying Eagles, Vikings, Saints, Panthers, Rams, maybe even the Seahawks or the Falcons, whichever one takes that 6-1. You know what? Those are 6 teams, even playing field. Any one of those teams could run the table. Any one of those teams could make the Super Bowl from the NFC. That's what I think this injury does, because with Carson Wentz out there, I know Viking fans killed me in the Case Keenum video for it, but with Carson Wentz out there, the Eagles were my favorite. The Eagles were my absolute favorite, going to make the Super Bowl from the NFC.
I don't necessarily know that I would. I think even with Carson Wentz, I don't know if I fully would have said that they would win a Super Bowl this year.
Well, I'm talking about just make it from the NFC. They were my team to make it from the NFC. They'd still have to go against the Patriots, which let's see how that happens. But
I still like the Saints.
Now, any one of these teams in my mind could make the Super Bowl from the NFC. Because let's be honest, we're looking at the AFC. I don't care. We're looking at the AFC Championship this week. The Patriots play the Steelers. That's going to be our AFC Championship game. That's what we're looking at. One of those 2 teams is going to make the Super Bowl from the AFC. The AFC to me is completely predictable in that sense. The NFC now is wide. Like, this race for the Super Bowl from the NFC, open the door, it's wide open. Anyone can get in. Anyone can get in from the NFC.
I don't want to go too far into it because I know this is supposed to be a short little thing here, but I think Eagles are going to be okay. I think Vikings are good. The only hard thing the Vikings are going to really run into is
the Packers.
If the Packers come back.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think they will still beat the Bears, even though I'm going to pick the Bears in week whatever that is, 17. They are at least letting Mitch Trubisky throw the ball now. So depending on how much the Vikings actually care, that might be an upset. Rams, I think, are going to lose more games than they're going to win in this last 3. Saints and Panthers, I think they're good. I think the Seahawks find their way in. And really, to me, I think that the biggest, most interesting thing I think from this injury is this question, actually.
Okay.
Because I think most people would agree Carson Wentz MVP for the year. Does this injury take him out of the MVP race? Just, you don't have to go super big into it. Just a general thought. And people in the comment section can let us know.
It depends.
I feel like it does.
It depends. For me personally, it depends on if Tom Brady brings the Patriots to the #1 overall seed in the AFC, Tom Brady is your MVP. Because early on in the year, how many people after they lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Panthers, this team is done, don't have a defense, plus the ageless wonder. Had one bad game, the ageless wonder. I think now it doesn't take him out, but I think he'll finish in like third in the MVP voting.
Yeah, I think he'll be out. I do. I honestly know who I'm going to put in front of him just yet. I think that there's a very decent case to be made for a guy who won't win, and that's Case Keenum. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think the guy
hasn't turned over the ball much.
I think the guy who deserves it the most
is Case Keenum.
Because if you use the actual definition of MVP,
take him away from the team, he has been the most to that team.
He has been so valuable to this team. He is the thing that's solidified and kept them going forward, but I don't think he's going to actually win it. Probably, honestly, he's going to come back to Tom Brady.
I'm trying to think.
I would like Carson Wentz to win it, though. I do think Carson Wentz, even though he's injured, I think he should get it, but I don't necessarily think he will.
How much do you think people would? This is a follow-up question. How many people do you think would be upset if an injured Carson Wentz missing the last 3 games of the year won the MVP?
If the Eagles lose out from here, I think that ruins that argument.
That answers your question.
I think that answers the question of,
no.
He was the MVP.
Would that ruin or would that answer the question of, yes, that's your most valuable player?
I think it ruins the argument against it.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, that solidifies it for sure.
Well, this is where you guys come in, this little mini snack size segment from the Onside Kick. Just wanted to get that out there. Didn't want this to pass by. Let us know what you guys think. How does this injury affect the NFC side of the playoffs now and the race coming in the playoffs in general, and who's going to make the Super Bowl from the NFC? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching this video, and as always, have a good day, everybody.